for cultural, inspirational, and spiritual programming.
God. Has any word in human history been more influential? Mankind has created religion after religion, written book after book, all in an effort to satisfy our quest for knowing God. Now, after many millennia, mankind is more at a loss to the nature of God. In fact, it appears that the tools we created to help us find God serve more as obstacles and hindrances. Those obstacles now stand between God and us. We extend to you an invitation to join Master Eric and Omkar for the weekly program Between God and Us every Sunday evening from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. exclusively on Sankhya television. Between God and Us. Knowledge to free your soul.
Sitaram, and welcome to the program Between God and Us, our weekly program on Sankhya television, where I sit with Master Eric of the Untold Truth. And today we are doing a question and answer segment. But the question and answers, Master Eric, are a bit special today. I'm doing the viewers' questions and answers. Well, you are doing the answers, but the questions are coming from comments, whether it's social media, emails, from viewers. So it'll be a bit interesting today.
Not a problem. And first of all, I want to say Sitaram, Assalamu Alaikum, Sairam, and good evening, everyone. So, I think it's a good idea because when you brought this up when you came in tonight, it's a good thing. I want the viewers to know that we do read the questions or their statements. And it's a good thing you're bringing it up because otherwise, why would they want to write? You know, some of them are genuine in their questions. Yeah. But I want people to know I'm grateful, and I think Omkar is grateful too, of the amount of viewers we're getting now. It's like people is wanting information. They're thirsty for the information. And having the pundit on and we start getting more into the meat of issues, it really showed. It really showed the interest of the public. And I want to say thank you to all of you. So, the show is yours.
Okay. So, well, I will not say the name of the person who commented. So, to the person who commented, if you are looking at this episode, I guess you'll know that you made the comment, and some of these are social media, so I guess people might have read it as well, so they'll know it's actual questions from the viewers. So this one is most likely from the previous program with Pandit Parashram. It was a comment on this program. So the Pandit, this viewer asked, if I do my last rites and when I die my family forgot to tell the Pandit, is it a problem if that Pandit does the last rites again that I already did?
No, there's not a problem with that. They're just re-emphasizing the last rites. But what I always tell people, the best thing to do is to create a living will. So a living will is your wishes, and within that you put time, place, that you want to start. What do you want, like songs, bhajans, whatever. Also, you would put in there, my last rites is completed. We only have to do the last 3 steps. So that way, they would read it immediately. It's a living will, not a will. A will is where the executor takes over and it's sealed up.
Right.
Okay, and you have an attorney there. But a living will, as soon as the person passes, or you could even do it while they're still halfway conscious, a day or two before, you could open it up and just reassure if they're coherent enough to say, is this still your last wishes?
Yeah.
And that's the best way to go.
Okay.
Okay, because remember, out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah.
People may not remember, or they're too into the death that it just, just passed their mind. So it's best to have it in writing.
Yeah. Probably this is where they should maintain a relationship with their family pundit. If they have a pundit that they use on a regular basis to do their rituals, that at least that pundit will know. Probably the family has a pundit they'll contact first when it's that time to perform.
Yes
so
and
that
no. Yes and no. I know a lot of families where they have their regular pundit that come and does their annual puja. But when it comes to specific things, they go to a different pundit.
Okay.
So let's give an example. Let's say the person, whether it's male or female, went and did their last rites with this other pundit, but did it privately.
Okay.
Okay. Now, a lot of the family, especially if they lived away, they may hear he did his last rites, but they don't know, he didn't name the pundit or whatever, he or she. So there might get a little lost. And then some people will say, well, let's just do the whole thing over again. Okay, and that does not hurt or override what you've done. Okay?
As you say it like that, is performing your last rites, your own last rites, something that's supposed to be done privately, like for a really close family, or is it like a normal puja that you could invite people to come?
Well, I've always been taught, okay, now last rites, you would normally, if they want to, you would invite just the immediate family. So if you have children, it would be the children and the spouse. Okay? Because it's too critical, it's too important to be distracted by noise, talk, everything like that. Okay, if you have a bunch of people there. Okay? The next thing is, even for pujas, I've been taught it's only your immediate family. Because this is a time that you're becoming very close to God. Okay, it's not a showcase for people. It's intimacy between you and God, from that baby to God. Okay, now you invite people. Yes, it's your duty. You invite people to come after the prayers and eat and share the food and everything else, right? Because you've been to prayers. I know you've been to prayers. There's a lot of people talking in the crowd. Sometimes the food is still being cooked in the kitchen and you're hearing pots clanging and everything else. These are distractions at the Bedi. And so it's good not to have distractions. And number two, all the food is supposed to be cooked before you even start the puja. Okay, so timing of everything is right. Okay?
Okay. All right. So we have another question. I'm not sure what the topic is. So the person commented that it was a wonderful topic. Lots of unsubstantiated viewpoints. Kartik Mahima is not, unfortunately, one of our Dharma Shastras. Rites, whilst alive, are done, then there is no return to worldly life. Oh, so you're talking about performing your own last rites? clear misconception of one, the interpretation of death and the Lord of justice. 2, Nitya karma outlines the reason for removing tip of palm leaves. So the person commented that you should do proper research before you present articulated positions.
Okay, I did.
Right.
Now, Pundit referenced the books that he was referencing from.
Right.
Okay. And I'm not going to say the Pundit is wrong. I want you to understand when it comes to last rites or anything within Hinduism, Hinduism is one of the biggest beliefs in the world. You have over 100 different pathways in Hinduism. Okay? Now, one of the things, the Lord of Death is the Lord of Justice.
Right.
Okay? Number 2, there still isn't a sufficient reason to cut the tip of the pan leaf off.
Okay.
Some said, you brought it up, that some people told you that you cut the tip of the pan leaf because that represents the Lord of Death.
Right.
I've never seen that. Okay, what I've seen is that the tip of the pan leaf represents Mother Lakshmi. Now, you always hear me say, pujas are being done. The steps could be done and still be completed by all of them, but there are variables in the delivery of the puja. I've always said that.
Okay.
That there's not just one set way. But here's what I'll do. I will take that reference and I will go to where he's talking about. And I can address it in another program.
Okay.
Okay, but I still stand by what I've said. I'm pretty sure the pundit would stand by what he said. Because he was given paragraph number, page number, everything. Okay. And if you listen to what we brought up, it's the position of, he said there are multiple books, but these are the books that he's referencing from. Okay, if they play it back, he always said there's many books, but these were the books he's referencing from.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
But we try our best. We may not be perfect, and I like this.
Yeah.
You know what this does, everybody? This gives checks and balances. Okay? And we will reference whatever they put forth.
Yeah.
So make sure you forward that to me.
Okay.
Okay?
Nice. All right. So this question is about the caste system. So I'm not sure which episode. I think it might have just been a question, right? So did man create it is a conversation. So somebody replied to the question on Facebook. So did man create the caste system or God? So somebody replied, well, really? Like sarcastically, assuming.
Right.
So
let's put it this way.
sorry, I have more to the. I want to give the conversation. So this person was saying, well, what's wrong with asking, a question? So the person who asked really said that we all know non-Brahmins go and change the names to fit in with Brahmins. So I put in that in there. But still, she don't see how the question was pertinent to the show at hand. So this person had just asked a question. Did God create the caste system? And this person, in part of their reply, said that everybody knows that the Brahmins in Trinidad changed the last names to the Brahmin last name.
The Maharajas and whatever.
Yeah.
Well, some of the temple organizations require that. If you become a member and you're a pundit,
Right.
that you add the name Maharaj
Right.
at the end of the thing. So let's go at the beginning of the question. Did God create the caste system or did man? Well, I understand why the guy put really, because it clearly states in all scriptures that God created everyone equal. Christian, Muslim, Jews, out of the Torah, all the religions state that. It was man that created the caste systems. Okay? And I want to even elaborate on that. In the lost years of Jesus, Jesus traveled to India. This is a show that we're going to be doing in the future.
Right.
I had to get legal advice because the Christians would be totally against releasing the information of where was the whereabouts of Jesus, where did he go. I've got the exact places, I've got the exact temples, everything, right?
Okay.
And he went to India. And I'm not going to give because I don't want to blow the show, but he stayed there 4 years, going to different places in India. Do you know what was surprising? Jesus was not against the Hindu deities, how we have the images, all the different images. He understood the concept. He wasn't blinded with donkey goggles. So he understood the concept that the different deities, how they are, why they were made, what forms of God they were. What he was against in Hinduism was the caste system. Because he said his father created everyone equal.
Okay.
Okay, so, and then he moved from there, and then I'll get into that in the next show. And he spent 8 years in the next location. But yes, it's true. Man created the caste system.
Yeah. You know, I have a take on that, which is opposite to what you just said.
That's fine.
In a sense. But like if you look at people, like a group of people, right? A large group, but sometimes, you know, there's 20 people. Naturally, we talk about without, you're not basing it on education. You're basing it on personality. You have somebody who tries to keep the group, to look for harmony in the group. So they'll try to keep the group together. And then you have some people like they are the warriors of the group. Like they are the first one to, if somebody attacks the group, they're the first one to jump up to say, okay, they'll defend the group. And then there are some people, you know, they're looking at, they are the natural diplomats in the group. They might not be the ones who could, most of the time, not the one who quick to fight, wouldn't be diplomatic. And the one who quick to fight is not the one who seeks harmony in the group. So you have clear personality differences. So I think over time, that aggregation then of personalities settled in terms of what you would see as caste. But it's just the Hindus kind of said, you know, like they have this kind of person and they're best suited for this kind of work, like let's say policing.
All right. So I understand what you're saying, but you can't mix caste system to personalities.
Yeah.
So what if you had a person in the lowest caste
Right.
within that group too? Okay?
Right.
And he's the one that always tried to guide spiritually the group.
Right.
Or he was the one when somebody in the group was being attacked or verbally or whatever.
Yes.
Stand up like a warrior. Right? That would never be accepted.
No.
Why? He's from the low caste.
Right.
See, what you said is correct. right? But in the caste system, if you came from this part and this is how you were born, you're automatically in the lower caste.
Yeah.
No matter how you try to climb out of it, the caste system still becomes in effect. And so let me ask you another question. This is a hot topic. It's going to get very hot. Okay? So, like here in Trinidad, they changed their names and they put Maharaj on the end, which that's fine with me if you want to. But we've had multiple shows, Omkar, where God doesn't care about your name. It's your sound. It's your sound that lets him know who you are and that you are doing whatever puja, right? So the name becomes non-important, okay? What you're trying to do is change who you really are, that you were born into something that you are not born into. Remember we were talking about how you wear different hats?
Yeah.
Well, when they did that, they're putting on another hat. Okay? Now, here's the question people always ask me. And we're going to need a whole show to explain the answer. Are there really real Brahmins on the island? By the way they act, how they talk about other people, how they're getting in politics, slamming other people. Is that a true Brahmin? See, people keep trying to, from what they read, what a real Brahmin would do. How would they live? How would they conduct themselves?
Right.
A lot of people said they're not a true Brahmin. They are a wannabe Brahmin. Now, I'm saying what people say.
Yeah.
I'm not saying this is my view or your view. Okay? So, does the name really make it, is it really serious to do that? Because you see other pundits that's not in the organization, and they keep their real name and don't add the Maharaj, and they're doing fantastic. They know the prayers, they got great ratings, and they actually look like they're enjoying what they're doing.
Yeah.
So, is it of relevance that you have to put Maharaj to act like you're a Brahmin? Or could you keep your own name and live like a Brahmin? Mm-hmm. I'm just trying to twist it in every direction.
Yeah. You know, in a way, it's a testament to their dedication to being Brahmin in terms of the opposition some of these
that
guys
is a
get.
super hard shoes to fit.
Yeah.
If you really look, and I want to do a show on that with the pundit, what is a true Brahmin? What is the life of a true Brahmin?
Yeah.
Oh my God. And once you hear that, you'll be like, oh God, none of them are. By the way they act, the way they talk, the way they backstab each other.
Yeah.
You know, you don't do that. You can be a very good person, a pundit, without changing your name. I always say, be who you are. Don't try to be somebody that you're not. Always remain the same no matter where you are. So, they're right in a way, but I want to clarify in depth. And for that one viewer, we will give the references where we're actually giving it from.
Okay. Yeah, probably you could reference what scriptures describe a Brahmin as.
Correct. There's multiple.
Scripturally.
There's multiple. So we'll have to get At least 3 or 4.
So this one was, I guess, is about marriage. The episode we did on marriage and divorce, and it was a couple questions. I guess it's about trust. But the question, one asks, well, what if your husband lies to you? And one is, what about no appreciation?
Right. So
Trust, the same person commented, so trust is the most important for the relationship, but what about no appreciation? So that's 2 comments from the same person. And then one person had commented, what about if your husband lies to you? So I guess that's
right.
trust.
So it all boils down. We did cover that. I don't know what time they wrote that during the program, but we did address all those issues. But let's just clarify a couple things. There is absolutely no reason for a spouse to lie to the other one.
Right.
If you have good communication between both partners, and you could talk about anything, you would never have to lie. Now, if you did something wrong, it may be a little hard for you to try to tell your partner. But I always tell people, tell the truth up front. Because if they find it out later and you didn't bring it up, it's twice as bad. Okay? But you should never have to lie. Lying is a sin. Now, some people say, I told a white lie. And I even said that during the show. I don't care what color you give that, whether it's a yellow, blue, black, whatever, or white. A lie is a lie.
Yeah.
Karma takes effect. Okay? And being appreciated, I went in depth on that because no matter who, whether it's the male or female, they want once in a while to be appreciated for what they do. They're not going to demand it all the time. But don't be a person that comes home, whether you're male or female, because the roles have changed a lot in families. Sometimes the man stays home, watches the kids, clean the house, and the wife goes out, right? But don't come home and demand the food to be ready at a certain time. This last week, I had women coming in with their husband with them. And they said, he won't pick up a plate. He won't pick up a fork. You have to bring it to him. You have to serve him. And then when he's done, he leaves it down and he walks off. You have to pick up the plate and clean the plate.
Okay.
So there's a lot of old traditions that are still in effect. But the modern, younger generation is saying, hey, we ain't part of that. Because the lady said right in front of her husband, he's got 2 arms and 2 legs, don't he? And I said, yes, he does. But did you know that this was his family's custom? Because his father was served like that all the time?
Yeah.
So he's wanting it too. So being appreciative, he should say, oh no, babe, once in a while, I'll do it myself. Let me help you wash dishes. Let me help you clean the kitchen. Or, God, that food was so good. Be appreciative of what people do. Yeah. But a lot of people are so tangled up in their everyday life, it's out of their psyche. Okay, so they don't really give that compliment the way they should. I don't think women demand it all the time. I know my wife don't. But if you volunteer and then give them with sincerity, that goes a long way. Okay? Trust comes over time. As soon as you get married doesn't mean that you're going to trust him the next day fully, or her. It takes time Just show the person that you can trust them. No matter in what situation they're in, you're not going to be bothered if he's talking to the opposite sex or she. Okay? You know where you stand with your partner. So jealousy shouldn't even be there. Okay? Another thing, I want to backtrack on the Brahmin for a minute. Attachments is a no-no, being a true Brahmin. And we're going to go into this more later. But anybody that's spiritual shouldn't be attached to anything. You can enjoy it, you can experience it, but never be attached to it. Never do too much of anything that you do. Don't abuse. Okay? You detach. Even from people. You can have friends, you could have X, you could have Y. But you're not attached. Humans love to be attached. Why? They want to belong. Well, if you already belong and have a connection with God, you wouldn't be striving to try to be attached to everybody else out here in the world. Because you wouldn't be missing anything. And that's why we try to say, get a connection with God.
Yeah.
And 95% of the people do not.
Okay.
Okay?
I had something I wanted to ask about when you was commenting about the trust, and you had touched, well, you mentioned it, that especially for young people who think about getting into marriage, which is you look at the custom of the husband or the wife, both sides, you look at the customs of the family to see, okay, what would the husband expect? Because probably their mother is like that with their father and them, which is, I know some people like that, like that's their job, that's their duty, that they like to perform. You know, like the motherly mother who,
Right.
put the son to sit down and bring the food and, rub his shoulder while he eats it and all this kind of thing.
Yeah.
And now you coming in as this modern woman now thinking, oh, you're not going to do that. It's kind of unfair.
It'll cause problems.
Yeah. And then it has concerning lying. How, as a man who thinks, my wife is hysterical, I can't tell her anything, she'll just fly off the handle, she'll just go off on this tangent. Emotionally, probably she'll get sad, she'll throw a tantrum, she'll get angry. What advice do you have for the men now on how to deal, who are lying just to avoid the argument and the noise?
My dad tried to tell me about women when I was young, but I was too stupid and I didn't listen. I joined the military, and then after the military, even during the military, I always thought I could figure a woman out, but I really couldn't. And when I got in spirituality over 30 years ago, then I started learning. Because you're looking at the other person through a different lens, a different, like, eyeglasses. Okay? Now, if you're with someone and they fly off the handle or they try to cry, then there's something missing between you and them. And this is why I said communication is the primary thing both partners need to work on. Because remember, women do not think like men. So, and then some men come in and tell me, oh my God, no matter how I phrase what I want to say, she's like an attorney. She'll whip it around in circles like in court, right? And no matter what I do, I end up in the hot seat. And I said, because there's something missing between you and your partner. So now it's our job to figure out what it is when they come in for counseling and eliminate that gap, that void that's within and between the two people. Okay, remember, in the universe, yin and yang, karma, everything else, there is always a reaction caused by an action. So over time, what was the action that gave the partner that reaction of getting upset or crying or whatever? We got to go back to that time and look at the situation and start closing that gap between two people.
Yeah. Just to add, sometimes it might not even be, and this is the communication part, where that person might have some trauma from
the
before.
past.
Yeah. And it's not that you doing something, but it brings up an emotion or a reaction in them from something that you didn't have anything to do with.
And traumatic events, especially from childhood, can affect a marriage. It depends what the trauma was. You understand? And a lot of times when people are in traumatic situations with family, okay, they want to get married, maybe for the wrong reason. Some people like to get married to get out of the situation that they're in.
Yeah.
So,
That's culturally, there's an Indian thing too. Well, I don't know much about.
no, this is like
Negro
worldwide.
people, right? But,
when you're going through a traumatic experience.
yeah. But in Trinidad, it's like I know people is like, okay, you're married just to get out of your parents' house.
And then when they get married and they get into the next situation, they're like, what have I done? It's the grass isn't greener on the other side of the fence. Okay? It's either green or it's not. Yin and yang. There's no middle. It's either is or is not. So let me give you another scenario. A young couple got married, and when it came time for that intimacy time between the two, the daughter had reservations. Not the daughter, but the wife. And they didn't for over a year. And then when they came in for counseling, when we started digging, her father used to rape her from 13 up. Okay? And that was very traumatic. And she did tell the mother, but the mother told her, hush your mouth. You cannot tarnish the family name. Okay, so what I'm saying, so the daughter didn't even have support at that time.
Yeah.
So when she became a wife, all those feelings were surfacing. Okay, but we got them over it. Okay? But we do not know just by seeing people walk by, unless you could read people. The common person don't know what that person's actually going through in life. And this is why in spirituality, and you can nail it quick. You can nail it quick when the two people come. The reason is you go by what spirituality teaches you. Do not look at what you see. Look beyond what you see, and you might see the truth. Don't listen to just what's being said. Listen beyond what's being said, and you might start hearing the truth. Okay? And when you start doing this, you could help people. Okay.
Did we ever talk about children? Because this one...
Yeah, we talked about the duties of parents and the duties of children. Yes, we did. Why, was there a question?
Because it had a couple of... well, it's comments, not really questions. But one is, well, this spear the rod and spoil the child is a bygone era. So I think they're thinking about, okay, you need to start back disciplining, the importance of discipline for the child. And, well, children these days are a bunch of disrespectful thugs made so by their so-called parents. So I guess it's parents failing their duty.
Correct. Generation to generation, we always see a decline in the discipline of a child, how the child conducts themselves outside. I mean, just look the other day in school here in Trinidad. There were 5 people that got stabbed by another student in a school. Okay? Now, when I grew up, which is 2 generations or more before, that was unheard of. Okay, why? If we stepped out of line, we got discipline. I'm not saying beat like black and blue and things like that, no. But we'd be disciplined. And even in schools, we would get our whacks. Okay, they had it looked like a cricket bat, but it had holes in it. So when they swung, the air go through, it's even hitting you harder. Okay? And they would put the mic in my school on, and they would hear me yell if I got it.
Okay.
So other people knew not to go that route, right? But I'm not saying corporal punishment. No.
Yeah.
But disciplining your child, spoiling your child is a sin. Okay, and I explained in the show why, from stories from scriptures. Okay? It's been forewarned. Now, there's nothing wrong with buying your child a gift once in a while. But once they get at a certain age, you should teach them to work for what they want. Earn some money. My dad did that when I first wanted my first dirt bike. I said, Dad, can you buy me a dirt bike? He said, yes, I can, but you will work and raise half the money on your first one. Okay? Because he knew if he kept giving me something all the time, I may not appreciate it. But when you work for something and you get it, you'll appreciate it, you'll take care of it. But you see people with Lamborghinis and Maseratis, even in the U.S., and they're racing them down the road, wrecking them and everything else. They don't care. Why? Daddy will fix it. But if he would have paid for that Ferrari or Maserati, he'd make sure he didn't hit that car.
Yeah.
You know, molding and teaching your child. Now the child also adapts what the parents do. So if the parents are being arrogant and not respectful to people, that child isn't going to be either. So now at school, when they try to discipline the child or correct the child will laugh at you. Why? I'll tell my daddy or mommy. Yeah. And then when the parents come in, there's a lot of teachers that say they get cussed out. So we're seeing a big gap. Okay, so we need to be more doing our duties to mold and culture our children at the same time.
This one is a long comment. I think it's somebody from Africa. Kampala, where is that? It's something like Africa.
Africa.
Okay, because the profile picture, look, is African. Well, Negro. Negro is not, is that inappropriate? Black? Negro is Spanish for black?
Well, see, you're only assuming by the name.
No, it was the profile picture is here.
No. Oh, you're seeing the picture?
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
It could be mixed too.
no, but the reason I'm trying to figure that out is because of what they're saying, that they're confused by the parents in the village who abandon their kids due to fear of responsibilities.
That happens a lot.
And, well, this person said that he adopted the kids because he grew up parentless. So, he knows what it's like. But, so apparently people who choose to abandon their children, like actually abandon their children, what do you think about that?
Well, one, it's a big number one sin. And the karmic reaction, we're not going to say what it's going to be, but it's not going to be light at all. It's going to be very heavy.
Right.
Okay, even during their life, or it could be after when they pass. They're going to have to face it. Number two, this is happening all over the world, even here in Trinidad and Tobago. So what I mean by that, I like to sponsor the orphanages right here in Trinidad. And one day I was taking a lot of food, supplies, so they could cook within the kitchen and stuff. And I wanted to see the kids. And the morning that before I got there, I didn't see it. But the lady that was in charge of the orphanage said someone just dropped the baby off, newborn, on the step and left. This is happening all over. New York City, you're finding babies left in dumpsters. Okay, these people are having babies that weren't ready to have a baby. Okay, and this is a problem we're having worldwide. I commend that person because you said they stated that they grew up without a home, correct? In that statement.
Yeah.
So he knew what it was like to not have a family or a home, right? So I commend this person, and the good karma that he's accumulating by bringing them children in and showing them love and giving them a home and let them be in a family, that is super commendable. Most people won't do that, Omkar. So if that viewer's listening to this show, I take my hat off to you because you didn't have to do it, but you did it. And that shows what type of person that you are. Okay, but most people won't even think twice of doing that.
Yeah. I remember we spoke about this one a couple of times. So this person comments, the bull worship with the Israelites, well, how this started off was, they were all good listening, but I decided to throw in my 2 cents about the bull worship with the Israelites and why Moses got mad. In fact, Moses was up the mountain talking to a big fire-breathing dragon, and it was very scary, and the Israelites were still connected to Nandi - Aaron. But whatever Moses and the dragon were planning up there, it wasn't about the 10 Commandments written by the hand of God. Otherwise, Moses wouldn't have smashed them on the ground in a fit of anger. So think about it. If it was you that was given a precious object by the hand of God, are you going to smash it? No, you'll treasure it. I don't know what the dragon is about. I don't know anything about the Bible.
Well, first of all, we're gonna get comments like this.
All right.
But the only thing I got to say to the person.
Oh wait, you have more.
No, but I get the gist of what they're saying.
Yeah.
All right. First of all, I would like to ask that person, have they ever read Genesis?
Okay.
Okay. There's nothing in there that specifies he talked to a dragon. It specifically addresses that it was a burning bush. Okay. Now, we talked about it before, that one of the true forms of God, because it's energy,
Right.
it's fire. Okay, so it said a burning bush.
Right.
Okay. Now, I want him to reference Genesis because he was up there for a long period of time. Okay, so people lost hope. Mm-hmm. So they wanted to go back to the idea of the worship like in Egypt.
Okay.
And they built, now, a lot of people ask, the people that Moses saved from Egypt were dirt poor. They were slaves.
Right.
That was being used to build the cities and things like that. And there were sculptures and things like this. So some of the people ask, how on earth could they have made an idol of a big cow out of gold?
Right.
Where did all the gold come from? You know, these are questions that are asked, but these are valid questions, right?
Right.
But the one about the dragon, now that's a little out there. Yeah. I just want them to reference back into Genesis, okay? Yeah. And it will tell him step by step, okay? But there are still gaps. Where did the gold come from? Number 2, Moses was angry, but some scholars said he was angry and told the people why they should not be doing this, okay? That he wouldn't have broke the 10 Commandments because that was actually carved by God, okay? So in a way, he got some things kind of right, what scholars are saying.
Right.
But none of the other scholars say there was a dragon, fire dragon.
Right.
Okay? So, and then you go even further of finding out how did the people survive all them years in the desert? And I want to cover that too.
Yeah.
And that's where the Ark of the Covenant came in to play.
Right.
Okay, so there's a lot that's wrapped up into that little venture, which is good programs to do. So I just refer him to read Genesis.
Yeah. The latter part of it that I didn't read said that the dragon killed 2 of Aaron's sons, Nadab and Abihu.
Again, I have him refer, it wasn't the dragon. So refer back into Genesis and he will see exactly what I'm trying to reference.
Okay.
Okay?
I just remember we had touched on it once, that the story is similar to that of Krishna.
Correct.
So I just throw that in there. Do you think it is just coincidentally similar, or because we're kind of topic of it might have been Hindus and not Hebrews, and I'm not saying you're wrong. I just speculated wildly.
I'm stating what the book says.
Right.
Okay. I do have my opinions.
Right.
Okay, from research and looking and doing comparisons between religions and everything else. But all beliefs come from a root.
Right.
Okay?
Hey, I just had a thought, right?
Did it hurt?
No, it feels real good. You know his story with Krishna holding up the mountain on his little finger and the people are sheltering? That could be like when Moses went up the mountain and everybody that he freed was under the mountain, at the bottom of the mountain.
There's a lot of symbolic similarities in all the stories.
Right.
I want you to understand, right, that like the Great Flood, every culture, every religion across the world, from old to modern, has the Great Flood in it. Their version.
Yeah.
Okay? So then if all the cultures, and they never had no ways of communicating, then you have to have in your mind that that event most likely happened. Because it's across the world. Okay? And big, millennia time difference between cultures. Okay? Then some people say, some scholars say, well, hold on, wait. If there's millennia between the religions, then when did it actually happen? So back in the early days, Sanskrit was one of the first ones that was actually written. Them and Sumerian, then Chinese, okay? So what I'm trying to say, they used to pass down the stories verbally.
Yeah.
So did these stories, when tradesmen went to Greece and Turkey from Egypt and all over, did those stories spread over time to where there was a great flood? There was a boat. Now they said the boat. They didn't call it the ark.
Right.
Okay? And that the world was gone. Okay? So this is where I think the future programs, when we get really into specifics, is going to be so interesting for people.
Yeah.
Because this culture says this culture says that. They're on both sides of the world. But look at the similarities. Okay? Even the American Sioux Indians in the States has the writings on the wall of the Great Flood. So every part of the world had that event. But the thing is, they cannot, they can, through the soil and the earth and the layers of the earth, and they can actually pretty well date when this happened.
Yeah.
But then you've got modern religions like Christianity and Muslim, which there are only 2,000. Okay? Each one says theirs is the right scripture. But then you got the Torah, you got the Codex before that. Now we're going way beyond before the Torah for the Old Testament, and it has the stories. The Sumerians have it chiseled in clay tablets. Okay, some of them are back 10,000 years. So what I'm trying to say, yeah, the story could have been spread over millennia verbally, because every time period people traveled out further.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
So the stories migrated with
Correct.
the people. Yeah.
Okay, and they adapted it the way they heard it.
True.
Okay? So we can never take one thing and take it as the gospel if you don't research and compare between beliefs. Because you'll see the similarity, then you'll say, well, wait a minute, you said you wrote the book, but then these people have it almost word for word in theirs. Where did it come from? Then you research even back further, 6,000 years, and the Old Testament was referred into the other ancient religions like Sumerian. So we just need to be a little bit more open-minded, do research, compare, and you'll start seeing a lot of facts between the two. But I like doing this. And maybe we could do another show next. I don't know. But answering questions and go over it. And we're not staying within the same subject.
Yeah.
Okay? But Omkar, it's been a pleasure being with you again. And everyone, I hope you enjoyed the program. Be safe and be productive during this week coming. You have a great night. Sitaram.
God Has any word in human history been more influential? Mankind